Hello, folks. Today we're going to talk about Infinity War, but first, you are going to hear all about Google's new AI. I am so excited for this. Oh, Jesus. And we are also going to talk about Predator. Jeez, there are so many mixed feelings. I can't deal with this. And Solo. Oh, my God. Redbeard Podcast. Yes.
Redbeard Podcast is brought to you by these cool dudes.
And we're back. What's up, guys?
Hey.
Hi, how are you?
I'm
Hey.
good.
How you doing?
How are you?
Good.
All right.
Yo,
Now that
Ren's
we've
here.
got
What
that
up,
out the
Ren?
way.
Yo, what's Gucci fam?
Welcome back.
Thank you. I'm happy
Ren's
to be
not here this week because she got into a car accident or some shit.
It was a month-long ordeal. I'm back.
Oh, man.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
It's nice to have you.
Hell yeah.
I'm excited to be here to talk about the Google Duplex.
Google Duplex.
Because Google Colonial was already taken.
Google Ranch.
So, how do you guys feel about this? It's
I love it.
Basically like an AI that sounds like a person.
It
I
sounds
love it.
so like a person.
Yeah.
It's creepy. This is the beginning of Skynet.
I know, I was going to say that. I was like, ooh, I'm ready for some Terminator type shit.
Not only does it sound like a person, but it actually thinks like a person, which is weird. That's the weird part. Like, actually, I don't want to say it thinks like a person, but I mean, like, it reacts like a person would.
Yeah, it says and and mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, it's one thing for me to say to my assistant to do something, and then it responds in a voice that sounds human. That's different from having a conversation with it. Like, you can have a conversation with this fucking thing.
Yeah.
And it sounded natural. That was
Supernatural.
That's what amazed me, because when you were telling me about it and saying that it was going to use words
Yeah.
that we normally use while we're thinking, I thought that it was going to come across as the Siri, like, hello, how are you? I am fine. And
No,
that's
it's
not how
fluid.
it comes across at all.
It's
It's
fluid.
very fluid.
But it's also super quick too. Like it does all these like processes of like thinking and responding in a way that is like in milliseconds, because when when the Google Assistant or whatever calls this like hair salon and asks about this appointment, she goes, "Hold on a second, let me check for you," and then like within like a millisecond, it just goes, "Mm-hmm."
So
You know,
fast.
it's so fast to
fast.
actually listen, digest that information, and respond accurately. Like that's super fast, and it's, I don't know, it's mind blowing and a little scary.
Do we know when this is supposed to be available to the public?
I have no idea.
Because I'm assuming this is probably
I-
just in like its beta testing.
This was at like their like developer conference, right?
For sure, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a whole like stadium of people, and it was more funny to watch the whole video and watch people's like interactions, because you had like the fanboys who were clapping, and there was just this group of dudes who were like, "Oh hell no!"
Just not feeling it.
Yeah.
Bad idea, Google.
So, like, just check this out.
So how can I help you? Hi, I'm calling to book a women's haircut for a client.
That is the
I'm looking for
robot.
something on May 3rd. Sure, give me 1 second.
Nope.
Wow.
Yeah, see,
Yep.
I'm all set
Like-
with that. Like, like, see, that was my qualm earlier with this. It's like, one, it's having AI that is sounds like Siri. Like Siri is decent AI right now for where it is in like stages. Like it's been integrated into the HomePod. There's a lot of like cool stuff, right?
Sure.
But when but when you hear Siri, you know that it's a computer.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So if Siri was to make a phone call people would know that, and they would know that it's Siri,
And they would
right?
hang up immediately.
And it's
For sure.
also, but it's also a very recognizable voice,
Right.
Where that just sounds like an average like girl,
Right.
Yep.
and that's what's scary about that is there's no differentiation between a normal person and a computer.
That's what's scary, but it's also what's useful about that is because it can actually do what you're asking it to do without getting hung up on.
Well, in theory.
Right.
I mean, the idea of it, obviously, they still have to work some kinks out, and we never truly know if this is going to develop the way they expect it to. But in theory, this is possibly mind-blowing.
The other thing,
Yeah.
too, about this is it was shown at their conference. I mean, who's to say that was actually a real nail salon or hair salon? They could have just had somebody call and record that.
Of course.
Yeah, and
You
it
know what I mean?
also-
Well,
So who
there's
knows?
another call where it's like it sounds like a Chinese restaurant.
Yeah.
And the woman is way too short with the robot where it's hella realistic. She's like, "How can I help you?" "Mm-hmm, yep. Mm-hmm." And the robot's like, "Well, how many people can I like make a reservation for?" And she's like, 5 or more, and like very short with the guy. And then he's like, "Well, the robot's like, how long is the wait if I go in with 4 people?" And she's like, It's short. It's short. The weekday, it's short." And then she's like, "Okay, bye." And she hangs up on him.
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay. All right. So there is some. They didn't show you the more realistic phone
All right,
calls.
so yeah,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so there is some realism to it. I feel like this is, I mean, technology-wise, this is amazing. But I feel like this is just furthering us from being able to talk to each other.
Yeah.
Like, we're pushing each other away even farther.
It's hard to say. But like with millennials, there's so many memes where it's like when you gotta make an important phone call or any phone call, and it's just like a picture of someone sweating profusely. And it's like, yeah, I fucking hate all phone calls. I hate them so much. If I have to talk to anybody at work, like calling out, even if it's someone I know I can call it with and I have sick time, I'm like, like, gotta take a hit of a puffer. So now I'm like, yeah, Google, make this call for me. Like, you can call out of work with Google Assistant.
You know what? Now that you say that, that makes perfect sense because I totally am similar in that there are moments where I'm just like, I don't want to do this. Oh my God. And I'll like pace back and forth looking at that phone for 10 minutes.
Google
going,
Assistant can take your
"I have
STD
to-
testing.
I have to make the call.
But I could call you or I could call Tony with no problem. But I don't want to call to order a pizza.
No, exactly.
Yeah, I'll have my Google Assistant do that.
Well, most
Hello, I'd
places
like
have
to
an
order
app.
a round 12-inch pie.
Dude, this is actually crazy because
Do you have round 12-inch pies?
I'm looking at the stocks.
What
right
size
now.
pies do you have?
And what?
I'm looking at the stocks between Apple and Google is super high right now.
Is it?
It's like 1,095. I mean, that's crazy. I don't know what it was yesterday, but I'm wondering if it made this huge jump because of this. Because
Probably.
It's
this is,
possible.
but it's also gone down 22%. So I think it went up, but then dropped down 22%. It's like it's just a super high number for stock. I mean, Google's huge right now, but still, that's
All
crazy.
made possible by your private information.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's true. It's true.
Yep. Well, hey, when Skynet becomes self-aware, that's when we'll all realize we should have built in a back door.
And that's the scary thing is that when it becomes self-aware, it's going to have a Valley Girl accent.
Yeah, seriously.
Dude, I
need to
honestly-
end your breath. Please don't.
So I was talking.
I don't want to be the black cloud over the science nerd party, but I don't think it's possible for this shit to become self-aware.
Oh yeah.
No, it's. I mean, we're
I don't think
talking
it's gonna
about
become
like worst
sentient.
case scenario, obviously, but I was talking to Ethan about some stuff, because he works with robotics all the time. And I was talking about like when you incorporate AI into a robotic system, and he was like, yeah, he's like, a lot of people don't realize, he's like, that they actually he said they tested a robot recently where it was like they were training it to open a door or do something, and it was able to open the door, but then it was supposed to do something like super delicate. I forgot what the process was he was talking to me about. He's like, but it literally like broke the shit like way too fast. Like it got violent. It got violent for no reason. They were like, ooh, they're like, we need to retest why that happened. So that's the stuff that worries me. It's like they would have never expected it to go that way, but something that wasn't right in the algorithm that caused that machine to act violently at one point. And I
Right.
think that's what we're talking about. It's like,
But when you
of
say-
course we wouldn't plan for this stuff to happen, but when it does, you got to hope that you have like a back door built in.
But I want our listeners to understand, when you say it acted violently, I'm pretty sure that I'm getting this right, but correct me if I'm wrong. When you say acted violently, you're not giving it a personification. You're just saying like it was a violent, explosive action by this robot. It wasn't emotionally charged at all. It wasn't driven by a thought process. It was just a mistake in the way that it was programmed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, but I guess my point is that
Like it wasn't like fuck this vase.
well, no, but when they actually it acted aggressively. When they like
No, that's wrong. It was programmed incorrectly.
all right, so it broke for a second.
Right.
All right, but
Yeah.
my point is that if you release something into the real world and it breaks for a second, that could be really bad.
Right, exactly.
That's what
there
I'm
you go.
saying.
There you go.
It's like
You know
those
what
autonomous cars. It's just
Yeah.
like, oh, I didn't take that turn properly. I'm just gonna smash into all these cars.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
I was
Like,
just
seriously.
I was just going to say that is now
Yeah.
we're creating AI that's making decisions for us and could put us in harm. Whereas before we've always used technology as tools and have put ourselves in harm's way.
right.
And now we're kind of giving up our choices.
Yeah.
I took a wrong turn. Oh no, I am the worst. I must commit suicide.
Exactly.
Driving off a cliff.
I think we're trying to get to Jean-Claude Van Damme in Time Cop too fast.
Oh
where he's
my
in the
God.
car and he's like home and he drives home. We're not there yet, guys. Let's slow down. So, I mean, who knows? But in Silicon Valley, they make fun of that, where they actually have the main character get into a car and
Yep.
it takes him the wrong way and he's like, no, turn around. And it's like, sorry, their driver's already been programmed. And he's like, I don't want to go anymore. You know, so and he like couldn't do anything because the car was driving itself. Like, it's freaky, man. Super freaky. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Super freak.
The demo worked, but they didn't show you what didn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, all right.
So,
Low.
yo, this AI, I love it. You hate it. You hate it. You love it.
I
like it. I'm afraid of it.
yeah, I like it. I'm afraid of it because like if you can make phone calls that I don't want to have to make at all, I'm down for it. Like doctor's appointments, I don't want to fucking do that at all. Like if you're gonna make my doctor's appointments for me and have to do like the bartering of like, well, we're booked for 2 weeks, but you can keep calling to see if there's an open appointment. Totally do that shit for me.
What would make me happy is if I could program it with my voice.
I want like Samuel L. Jackson's voice.
Just so I could have it, have the conversations I don't want to have.
That's even worse, bro.
Yeah, call
that's
out of
so
work.
weird.
If you're using your voice, how are people gonna know they're ever actually talking to you?
It's like you
That's
just get a divorce
That's not
because
good,
Google's
man.
like,
It
I'm
is.
mad at you.
No, it's not. Your voice is your individual personality. Like if you're gonna have a robot impersonate that, like what if I called you? Obviously, like if you and I talk, like I'm gonna hope that it's you.
No, you would know. You would know the difference though,
But
because we have conversations on the reg. Like I doubt you could program it with my sense of humor. You know what I mean? It's good. It's not gonna be sitting there like, fuck you.
But I feel like eventually
I'm Cooley. Fuck you.
someone is going to start.
Cooley, I'm not a fan of the show Atlanta.
Fuck you.
I agree with you.
I feel like eventually, though, someone is going to start referring back to their conversations with your AI voice.
Right.
And you're not going to be able to give them answers because you never talked to them about that.
That's
I'm a
what I'm saying.
I'm a
And
master
then-
at nodding and going, yeah, sure.
And then those people are just going to think you have freaking mild dementia.
Right. I don't know. Like I said, I think it's cool, but I'm afraid of it.
Yeah, it's good for getting a haircut.
Yeah.
All right. So, moving on from the AI, because we're done with that conversation. The next topic on the agenda, because we have an agenda here at the Redbeard Podcast. Don't ever say we don't have lists, motherfucker. So, next up is The Predator. They released the trailer for this. They released the trailer for it. It's the first look at what we can expect to see from this movie, aside from the still shots that we got and the other synopsises that we went through and we had conversations about. Now we actually have some actual footage. that's been put together for us to view. And we have some reactions in the room. I'm going to save my reaction for last.
I was gonna say, should we let Tony go last?
Yeah, no, I'm
Should
going
we?
last.
All right,
Yeah,
Tony's gonna go last.
I am definitely
but I'm
going
saving
last.
my reaction for before Tony's.
Second last.
All right, Jim, go
and-
ahead.
Okay, all right. If
So
I
that-
have to go first,
Yeah, I mean, you got the short straw, bro. Go.
I have no emotional ties to the Predator. I watched the trailer and I want to say I'm somewhat indifferent, but I'm not excited. I don't watch this trailer and think to myself, this is going to be an awesome movie. I don't know. I'm trying to think of the right way to put this. It doesn't look like a Predator movie. The Predator to me looked fine, but the trailer itself seemed to have nothing to do with any sort of plot line. Like, it doesn't seem to give you any idea as to what this movie's going to be about, what's going to happen. And I think they really needed to do that. I think that this is a very polarizing movie right now. There's a lot of uber fans of this movie. I'm sitting next to one. And they really needed to quell some people's thoughts by giving you some idea of where this movie is going to head. And they didn't do that. It was just a mishmash of some kid just flying an Independence Day spaceship into a cliff and a bunch of explosions. And that's it. And some guy going, I think they're hybridizing themselves.
Oh, that guy, yeah, Olivia Munn, totally. Yeah, that's the. She looks like
Who's
a
a
guy.
woman?
Looks like a guy. No,
I
yeah.
think she's very attractive.
She is.
Same.
She is. So,
Like-
anyway,
I don't care what
Ren
you
doesn't
think,
think.
Ren.
Yeah, Ren doesn't think she's
She's
attractive.
a terrible actress, and she like got popular on G4, so it's like the only woman on a male gaming channel. Who would
but
be
nobody,
surprised?
but nobody,
agree, but
nobody
that's-
said she was a great actress.
Yeah.
We just
Yeah.
said that we find her attractive.
She also, to me, comes across like
Her
she might be
personality is so
an awful
terrible that I
bitch,
can't get
like in
attracted
real
to her.
life. But she's got a nice face to look at.
yeah, I don't know. I thought she was good in Newsroom, which was a good show.
Yeah,
But
she was good in
anyway.
that.
So yeah, continue.
No, I mean, I really don't have that much about it. That was basically my one thing. I thought that it just there wasn't anything to go off of it.
Yeah.
It really didn't establish any of the characters. It just kind of seemed like there's going to be army people in it. There's going to be different landscapes. There's going to be a crashed ship with an alien on board, and he's going to have predator weapons and, you know, more as it develops.
Right.
I thought this looked like a straight to Netflix movie. It opens with this kid. I can't even afford a Predator like replica costume, and it's just this kid like, whoa, look at this like actual costume. Like, where did he get the money for it? One, like, was it his? I don't know. It's weird. It's generic. And then he opens up this like, what was it, like a little gauntlet that had the little mini
Yeah,
spaceship
yeah,
in it,
yeah.
and then you see it fly, and it's like, oh, it's doing the same motion. So I was like, this is dumb. Like, what the fuck is this?
I
going
have.
into.
I'll get into that. But anyway.
So
yeah.
I was like, okay, this is dumb. Like, who even let this kid touch this shit? How did he get this? So first, and that was a mess. And then it instantly goes into the most generic plot line that they've used in like every movie of like, oh, like a Navy SEAL team got attacked by something. There's one survivor, and it's like, oh, and the Predator's here. Like that's
Right.
what attacked them.
Right.
And I was just like, this looks so generic and boring. The way they did the little, like, here's some action cutscenes before they even went into the trailer was so, like, Sci-Fi Channel movie that it, like, made you unattracted to what was coming next. It's like, oh, here's some quick action clips. Now the Predator trailer. It had even, like, a 90s vibe. Like, everything was obviously shot, like, high quality to today's time, but like, it just felt, like, older than
you don't
it
need an
was.
action sequence before the trailer. Just show us the trailer.
Yeah, just show
I'm
the
gonna watch it
trailer.
regardless. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
it
here's
just
a
seemed
trailer before the trailer.
Yeah.
Like, it was like a mess.
I have a trailer for the trailer.
Can I piggyback on something that you said,
Totally.
Ren? The toy spaceship that kid was playing with who's gonna make that technology? Like, do you see like a predator being like, I've got to land this spaceship?
No, hold on. I got this.
Can I say that so
That's a beacon.
No, it's a beacon for the ship, but the other thing too is I don't think him using that
was
actually controlling the ship. I think that was very very interesting editing to make it look like I think the ship crashes at another time.
Okay,
but they made it look like he was controlling the ship. That's all
actually,
that was.
what I think happens is he activates that thing and it calls the ship to Earth.
Yeah, but you can call a ship to Earth, but it doesn't have to crash into Earth. Doesn't make sense. So.
It's just when you brought that up, Ren, it did totally seem, or at least they tried to make it out in the trailer, like that kid was using the little toy to actually
and the timeline was a mess
it.
because you see like the beginning it shows the ship coming to Earth, but then it seems like the whole incident's already happened with the like Navy or assassin guys. So then you're like, is the interview going to be at the beginning of him being like, we saw the shit go down? And it's the ship coming down. It just seemed like a fucking mess.
I mean, so for me, the trailer was okay, and the only reason why I say it was okay is because I didn't get enough to go on. I don't know what to expect yet. I do know to expect humor.
Maybe
it is Shane Black. Everything that Shane Black has directed has had a level of humor in it. And to expect less is silly. It's like hiring Michelle Wolf for the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
that was funny.
Right? You get what you paid for, right? You get what you hired, and you hired Shane Black. This is what you're gonna get. So I expect the humor. I just and the humor in the trailer was actually not out of place. It wasn't like Last Jedi out of place. It wasn't like clunky or forced. So, I mean, that part of it didn't throw me off at all. But yeah, like it wasn't enough. It didn't give me anything to say, oh, I hate this movie or I like this movie. It's like, it was just, there were some interesting like snippets, like the activation of the beacon that brings the ship down. I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. Because I didn't look at it as him playing with the toy and like actually landing the ship. I was just like, oh, he just fucked up. He just activated that beacon to bring the predators to Earth, right? And yeah, like you said, Tony, it was interesting editing, like how they like spliced the two together and like to show that and give it that effect. And then everything else after that was literally just like, this guy's in the movie, and this guy's in the movie, and this guy's in the movie, and this guy's going to tell you a joke. So I was just like, okay, cool, and here's some action. So I have no idea what's going to happen, but the action scenes actually look good. The Predator looked good. The equipment that he's pulling out of the box, I have no idea why he would have Predator gear in a box sent to him.
Yeah.
It looks like maybe something left by his dad or something like that, or some shit. But who's his dad? Why would his dad have Predator gear? You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of unanswered questions in that one scene. It was very and somebody had mentioned in the thread that we had that it was very Stranger Things like. And it kind of, yeah, and it reminded me of that. Like it was like it was Halloween and like they're running around and there's this kid opening a box and it was just it did have that vibe, and I think that's why it had that 90s feel to it. You know what I mean? But aside from that, like I really didn't have any gripes or any, and I'm not jumping for joy about it. I'm just kind of blah. I'm like in the middle. I want to see more, and I want to get enough to actually formulate an opinion, which I don't have yet.
One last thing, in personal opinion, I thought it was odd that they opened it up with, from the director of Iron Man 3. Like, that was the selling point of this.
I missed
a
that entirely.
A lot of people commented on that. That was a poor marketing.
Because that
that movie wasn't great.
And, like everyone's going to be like, oh, my God, that's the best of the Marvel movies. Was the third Iron Man installment. Yeah, Ben Kingsley. I hope he makes a cameo.
I mean, here's my feeling about this trailer. So, I've been waiting so long for this trailer, and then all of a sudden,
Guy Pearce.
You see, like Keegan-Michael Key actually, he released a still of him holding a gun, and then it was him, the same picture, but it was like infrared, like Predator vision. And then, you know, I'm like, oh, and it said like coming tomorrow. So I was like, oh, sick. There's going to be a trailer tomorrow. So yesterday I'm at work and I searched for it and the trailer was up and I'm like, cool. Weird thing is that Shane Black actually said it was a teaser, but they also market it as a trailer, which doesn't make any sense. That's right off the bat. That's a little weird. It's technically not supposed to even be a trailer, but it's labeled that way because the director is calling it a teaser. So already you have some stuff that's not right. Because people are looking for a trailer, and that's more of a teaser. So it's got all this crap in it, right? So it starts off with this kid on Halloween, I'm assuming, in his basement opening up a box. Now, from looking at like script plot lines and stuff like that, it looks like his father, played by Holbrook, was actually, he found that in the jungle. Who knows if it's a reference to the first movie where the Predator's mask was left behind and they grabbed it. I don't think that's the case because we see the
everything's really
original
shiny.
mask. We see the original mask in the trailer in a glass case. So that's obviously, and there's something else I'm going to bring up. That's obviously from the first movie with the shoulder cannon as well that he takes off before he fights Arnold. So anyway,
But it's
I
also
think
like
that
really
that's-
clean and shiny too. Like
Right. That stuff that he actually found in the jungle, I think Holbrook found and sent it to his house so that it wouldn't get into the wrong hands and the government wouldn't get a hold of it. It got sent to his house and his son opens it accidentally, right? And so he opens it because he's in the basement, probably he's messing around with things he shouldn't be messing around with, opens the box up, starts playing with it, thinks it's a toy, and not knowing what it actually is, that it's alien technology, right? So it's a beacon, the ship comes to Earth, whatever. My only problem with this trailer is that, and it goes back to, like it just has a very AVP feel to it. And Alien vs. Predator, the trailer, felt the same exact way when I saw that trailer that I felt when I watched this one. And although like the film quality looks decent, it doesn't look like the movie just has any sense of a storyline. It's all thrown together, and you have these predators that also, again, look like it's just a guy in a suit, right? Like, and I understand realistically that's what a predator is, right? It's a dude in a suit. But when Kevin Peter Hall played the predator moved a certain way, right? He was an expert in like martial arts and ballet, and he actually moved very like alien like, right? So he like came up with all these like character movements for the predator, right? He moved very differently. Do you see the predator jump off like it looks like a van? And he kind of like crouches down, and then he's like picking somebody up and just throwing him against the wall. Like, it just looks like a guy in a suit. It doesn't look like a predator to me. And that's what I'm getting from some of the small things that I've seen. They already showed one guy getting killed with a weapon that was from the AVP movie. I don't even know why we're using that. Like, I think we should be using like some of the older shit, like the disc from the second movie that he throws like across. Like, I thought we should have brought that back instead of that other thing that he pulled out. I feel like in this teaser, we shouldn't have even been showing the Predator at all, right? Like, leave the audience wanting to see what the Predator actually looks like. Keegan
but
Michael
we already
Key's
know what
like,
the Predator looks like, though.
not for this movie. That was never shown until the teaser. The other thing is, you have Keegan Michael Key posting a picture of him in infrared. We didn't see any infrared in the trailer. You're not getting any kind of Predator vision, like that kind of like hunter's perspective. The other thing too about this trailer is you're talking about like hybrid predators when they come to Earth, like in this like ship lands, like that was all very confusing as well. Like there's a hybrid predator, but there's also the predator that's landing in the ship. What's going on? Like, how many predators are actually in this movie? And the only thing that I thought was semi interesting was when they're in the lab. And you got Olivia Munn kind of looking at that glass case where it's got like the new mask, the shoulder cannon, and the classic mask. In the reflection of the glass, you see Busey. And he's supposed to be Key's son from Predator 2. So the character Keys was actually, he died in Predator 2 because he got basically murdered by it. But he basically knew about the Predators and was like trying to capture one. His son now is playing like, I'm sure like is actually playing his son or whatever in this movie, and he's probably going to carry on like that investigation. He's still trying to capture a predator. So I think that's cool because that does tie into the second movie a little bit. But I just feel like for me, when this trailer was released, I was psyched about it. But after I was done watching it, I was more depressed than anything. And that's the same way I felt when I watched like the Alien vs. Predator trailers. You know, it doesn't have the same feel as the first movie. It just feels like you have these really B actors, you know what I mean, that are thrown into this movie together. You know, what exactly do you think made the first Predator awesome, in your opinion? Like, what do you think made that movie great? Because I already know what made it great for me.
Schwarzenegger.
Right.
Yeah.
You have Schwarzenegger and all these, like, macho dudes in the jungle taken out. Like, they're basically getting hunted by an alien, and then they all face off
Like
of them at different
all
points.
of them are jacked as
All
fuck.
of them are jacked, man. Like, they're all ballers. You know what I mean? Like, they go into this jungle, and they just basically face off against this thing, right? But it's like, but then you got, like, these regular people.
So you
know?
want more muscular men.
Yeah.
Well, no,
this
here's
I want
movie.
I know what you're trying to do, but realistically, like I want guys that are like the alpha male going up against this predator that
That's
look
what
like they
made-
might actually have a shot. Not
Well,
these normal people. They're gonna get taken out.
I get
That's
it.
what made the Predator more. That's what made the Predator seem like more of an unbeatable foe by having like these guys that were just like, you wouldn't fuck with them. You know what I mean? Like you see them and you're just like, Jesus Christ, they fucking rip your head off.
They were like a mercenary group that went into a jungle to extract people. They were like army special ops. You know what I mean?
Right.
And now you got like scientists that are getting killed like that. Yeah, of course.
Well, no, it's
It's like-
they're trained assassins.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So like the fact that they were going up against this and still getting their asses kicked made the Predator seem like this ultimate hunter.
No. In the new movie, they're trained assassins. Like that's what he says in.
Yeah, but
the
they all
interview.
have PTSD and they're losing their minds. Like these people aren't in their right mind anymore. Like they're on a bus getting transported somewhere.
Would you fuck with a military vet with PTSD?
No, but I'm not
No.
the Predator
Would
either.
you fuck with
I
Frank
wouldn't-
Castle?
I wouldn't fuck with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I wouldn't fuck with any of these guys, but I'm a regular dude, and no, I'm not going to want to go up against the Predator either. But like,
Right.
put the Predator up against some badasses, not friggin' the guy with no dick from Game of Thrones. You know what I mean? And like, who's the other guy? Who's the?
Well, a guy with no dick has nothing left to lose.
Yeah, exactly. But what's
I would be afraid of
what's
that
the
man.
other guy? What's the dude? I keep forgetting.
Thomas Jane?
Thomas Jane's on the bus. They didn't even highlight him in the trailer. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they show one shot of him. But I don't know, man. This it looks like a
T'Challa's
disaster.
uncle is in it though.
Dude, this movie looks like a
Yeah,
disaster.
Sterling K. Brown is great.
Yeah,
He
was.
feels like an outlier.
Yeah, his one line was impressive. I honestly think that. I think if anything, this
Dude, it
this
was
is my
it was
qualm.
literally like a 30-second trailer though. Like I mean, the thing wasn't long at all. We didn't get much out of it. There's nothing to really draw from it though. is
Yeah,
my
okay,
point.
but still, you could have a 30-second Star Wars trailer, and that gets you jacked up.
No.
right? All right.
No.
Well, that's different. So
I
here's
actually-
the problem. Here's my final thought on this.
Why is it different? Why is it fucking different right now?
Because
I'm
it's fucking different.
fuck off.
No, so it's different, bro. This is why, right? Because you look, and I said this to you yesterday. Star Wars is always going to have a Star Wars fan base. There's always going to be a Star Wars movie, okay? Even if the trailer fucking sucks, everyone's going to go see it, and it's Disney money, right? Like, so there's always going to be a Star Wars movie, right? This Predator movie is fucking the franchise. It's done. After this movie, there's not going to be another Predator movie.
That's what we
Shane
said
Black-
about AVP though.
No.
And Predators and
But look, Shane Black was busting his ass to get this movie made, dude, and he finally got the green light for it, and he fucked it up because
Well, you don't know that yet.
Oh, I can tell from the trailer. That's all I'm
okay.
gonna say. I'm telling you right now. Look,
So are you just pissed that Disney didn't buy Predator?
they did.
They did.
They own it now, but they didn't actually. They didn't. Like, this was already in production, so they
Right.
didn't take over.
It's not finalized, and it's not going to be finalized until next year. But what I'm saying is, next year, once Disney has all these properties, you think Disney's not going to take a shot at fucking resurrecting it? You're out of your
Why?
mind.
Why would they?
Because it's a popular franchise.
Because it is popular.
no, it's not, dude.
But
It's-
it's come out with how many movies now? It's
so
like
many
5?
movies, and it's got and
And they've
it's
all done bad. They've all gotten
they
bad
have.
reviews.
But that's the thing is that it's still the Predator is popular.
Yep.
And they keep coming out with bad movies.
And people keep seeing them.
Yeah, and people see them and they say that's a bad movie. Critics say that movie's bad, but then somebody goes, "But I'm going to make the good one."
Right, and this is my problem, though.
I mean, you might not see one for a few years after this, but you're going to get one.
Here's my point, though. This is my final thought, and I want to close on this so we can move on. But, so, like I said, Shane Black chose to direct this movie. He was in the first Predator. He's got the formula for what works, right? And he could have used that and done the same exact thing. Bring in one Predator into an environment. It doesn't matter if it's the jungle or the city because they've done both already. And just have that one Predator destroy fucking everybody. That's what people want to see. But you have to add in these weird plot lines. You bring in this kid that, like, again, like a lot of the reviews don't understand why they chose to have a kid with autism as a plot line. Like, it just seems very weird. Just because he has autism, he understands the Predator language. That's something that people are already jumping on that doesn't make sense. You're bringing in all these extra things that are just not needed. Simplify it, make it a simple movie that's already worked, and do that. And he didn't do that. And every single review that I've read online under the YouTube trailer that are like Predator fans and like Predator forums, they hate this trailer. So that's, and I'm sorry, man. Like, I'm with them. I don't like what I see, and I'm not psyched for it.
Tune in next week when we all get to retort.
Yeah, so that's that.
I hope that you're pleasantly surprised when this movie comes out.
I don't think I'm gonna be.
I don't think so either, but I hope that you are. I don't want this to be your Independence Day resurgence.
Well, that's what it is, bro. That's what it is, you know.
Okay, so on to the next fucking elephant in the room.
Passion. You
Just
have passion, Tony.
We're about to fucking trade places right now. We're gonna talk about the Solo trailer, and you already said that the trailer made you want to see this movie.
Yeah.
So go ahead. I'm last on this one.
I mean, quickly, the Solo trailer doesn't look awful to me, but then again, I'm a huge Predator fan, and I hate the trailer. You're a huge Star Wars fan, and you hate this trailer. So it's the same shit. But, like, I don't really give a shit about Star Wars. Like, I like the trailer, like, them going through whatever the fuck that is, the Kessel Run or whatever that's supposed to be at the end where they're like, punch it and shit. Like, that shit looks fun to me. Like, it looks fun. Every Star Wars movie that I've gone to that's like, what is it? Like, the Force Awakens, The Last Jedi. I've had fun in the movies. Like, I think they're great. But I'm not invested in the storyline or, like, Star Wars in general. So, things that you're looking to get out of this movie, you may not get because they're not doing it up to your expectations, right? But I'll go into this just kind of blind and probably have a good time. You'll go into Predator blind and have a good time, right? Where
No, I grew up in the 80s, bro. I'm a Predator fan just like you. I'm just not, I don't fucking come on my fucking hand when I see a fucking Predator doll in the fucking store. But
neither do I.
I love
if I
Predator.
ever fucking did that, please fucking slap me. I don't jizz on my fucking hand when I see her.
no,
like I whip up my dick in Newberry Comics and start jerking off.
If you were to do
Fuck
that, that's
outta
going to
here.
depreciate.
What a fucking dumbass thing to say.
That's going to
Fucking idiot.
depreciate the value of the merchandise. Why would you do that?
Yeah, seriously. But like legit,
Don't call out my fucking fandom on the
it's
show.
still you're not a fucking biggest fan as I am. That's
No,
clear.
I'm not the biggest Predator fan, but I am a Predator fan, and I do want this movie to be good. I am going to know the difference between a good Predator movie and a shitty one.
So I'm going to say the exact same thing you just said. So switch that around. Just say Predator instead of Star Wars. But it's like, you know what I mean? Like
Well, you just said you don't give a shit about Star Wars, so it's clearly different.
No, it's like I enjoyed the Star Wars movies, but if I go in to see one and it's not like up to Star Wars fans' expectations, that's not really going to bother me specifically, right? But if you go in and enjoy the Predator movie, great. But I might not have the same positive response that you had because it's not meeting my expectations and a lot of fans that are looking for certain things. That's the difference. But from what I saw in the Solo trailer, it doesn't look like a terrible movie. I will agree with most Star Wars fans, and Ren, you've said this, that the guy doesn't look like the age he should be for playing Solo.
Oh, I got so much to say about this.
Especially if it's an origin story. All I'm going to say is this. From the trailer, I want to check it out, but I understand why some people might not like it. The actor's kind of like a no-name guy. He's been in 2 things. They probably could have got somebody else. But Woody Harrelson's in it, and I'm psyched to kind of see Woody Harrelson. And that's all I got. So Donald Glover looks cool, and Amelia Clark looks hot.
I'm super short too. I'm kind of in the same boat with Tony. I like the Star Wars movies. I'm not as invested in them as you two are. I feel like this movie could be fun. Some of the acting might seem skeptical to me, or suspect. I'm skeptical. But all in all, it looks like it's going to be a fun ride. And I feel like part of that might be downgrading it to begin with and just being like, I don't expect anything out of it other than, like, I will and it'll be fine. But that's where I stand with this movie. I'll end up seeing it. I'll, like, walk out of there and be like, I spent my money well. I don't feel like I lost money in this situation.
I'll leave Cooley for last since I think he's the most invested in this trailer. But I've seen the trailers. I have Movie Pass, so I go to a bunch of movies and I see the trailer before those movies. And first off, they're making it like a fun, younger branding because I think they gave up on this film. They were like, LOL, this is probably going to be trash. So they're like marketing it towards younger people. Like they have the bright colors and the way that they have things. It's definitely not like, this is a super, like, in line with the movies Star Wars trailer. This is like a, hey, we wanted to give you, like, a fun backstory, and Donald Glover's here. And isn't he so fun? And he's, like, pop culture fam. Like, even though I would cast him for Lando Calrissian, I was like, ooh, like, this is going to be, like, a fine movie. But if you're, like, a hardcore fan, you're not going to be like, yeah, dog. I have problems with them doing backstories now when technology is so much more advanced. So they have like the train that they show you, the double-sided train. That looks fucking awesome. But that's also, it looks like something like in the future of Star Wars, not a backstory thing, which I have a huge problem with. The main thing that I said months and months ago when they first announced he was going to be cast as Solo is the guy fucking looks older than Han Solo did in the original movies. Like, he looks old as shit. And, I mean, Tony Googled the picture and he's like, no, it looks fine, until you Google him in the actual, like, advertisement photos.
Yeah, like his IMDb, he looks like 22.
Yeah, and then he's as old as I am. He's, like, almost 30. He's got creased face.
Right.
Like, he just looks old as shit. And he has, like, a brick shit, jaw. So it makes him look so much older than he really is. And I just have so much problems with the casting. Like, Ansel Elgort, even though he's a slightly goofier dude, he would have been great because Han Solo is a goofy guy in the films. Like, he can be very serious, but he's kind of like a goofy dude. Like, his relationship with Chewbacca was always like, oh, this is like a buddy comedy almost, the way the two of them interact together. And then you have Donald Glover, who would be super funny. Like, you could have made this like an enjoyable film, but I think this guy's going to be too much of like a, oh, I'm trying to be like the badass of the day, where it's going to be overkill, and I'm not going to enjoy this film at all. Like, I think it could be fun. I think if you had put like any other random, like, you could have made this some other Star Wars character that came back with the same kind of technology, and you could have made it super fun, but it's a character who we already know and love, and you're being like, hey, it's this other dude. Like, you have to get invested in this other dude, and you're going to be like, no, this isn't Harrison Ford. I don't think I can fuck with this. Like, I don't know if I can enjoy it. I think because I already have this huge dislike towards the casting, towards decisions that they've made that I've seen in the trailer, it's going to be hard for me to warm up to it. But if I see a good film, I'll be like, yeah, it was all right. But I'm like, I have no.
See, you like hearing you talk about this is exactly the way I feel about the new like Predator trailer.
Yeah,
it's the exact same shit. Like, even if it's a decent movie, I'm still gonna like have trouble warming up to it.
Yeah,
because I have a problem with the casting. So yeah,
I know it's not gonna be a great movie though. You see the trailer and you're like, it's not gonna be a great movie. It might be like a fun addition to the movies, but like, if I have children in like a decade from now, I sit them down, that's like a movie that I can totally skip and not feel bad for.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah.
I'm going to be like, the bastard child of the series, we're going to skip that right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Cooley, how do you feel about it? Because you're just sulking over there.
I've talked about, when we talked about Venom, I talked about World War Z as my example.
Yep.
World War Z was a fun movie. It was It was fun to watch. If you never read the book, there's no. You got nothing to stop you from enjoying it. You can enjoy that movie thoroughly. They titled it World War Z. It wasn't fucking World War Z. If they titled it something else, if they called it Zombie Infestation Part 1, whatever, completely different from the World War Z book, I would have thoroughly enjoyed World War Z. I would have been like, World War Z is an amazing movie because it was such a fresh take on zombies. It was different. Brad Pitt was great in it. And a lot of action. There was actually some really well thought out stuff going on. But when you see the title World War Z and you get really excited about, they're making this movie about World War Z, and you go and see it and it's got nothing to do with the shit you read. And I mean nothing. Like the zombies weren't even the same kind of zombies that were in the book. Like they were fast. They were like viral almost. Like they worked in unison. They worked like a hive. And in the books, they were just your average, slow, rambling zombies. Now with Solo, it's a Star Wars movie. It's probably going to be a lot of fun to watch. There's going to be some good special effects. There's going to be some fun banter. It's going to be funny. It's going to be great. But it's not going to be fucking Solo. Why are you calling it Solo? Why are you using that character but giving us somebody else? Like, why are you shifting? Why are you trying to make me, just like you said, you're trying to make me care about this character that's not the character that you're trying to give me. Like you're showing me on
And you
on the
already
title.
killed him off in the universe, so it's so much harder for me to give a damn because I'm like, oh, he's dead. Like you're gonna go back and try and be like memory lane with a different person.
Right.
I don't give a fuck. I'm not invested in this character anymore.
Right, and there were so many other people that you could have picked, like Ansel Elgort.
Yeah, who
right?
was so devastated he did Baby Driver in like the same outfit he did the casting in.
But when you look at him, when you look at Ansel Elgort, he looks like a young Harrison Ford.
Yes.
And so and then there's that kid that does the impersonations. And I know impersonating people is different from acting, but I mean, even the way that he looked like Han Solo. He looked like him.
Yeah.
He had the mannerisms. So even like the impression, the voice and all that stuff was great, but his acting looked pretty spot on too. Like, I mean, it looked like and he's by himself in a room, right? With no costume, no special effects, no backgrounds, no green screen. And I'm looking at this kid and I'm like, that's fucking Harrison Ford right there.
Dude, I watched that like a couple times after you originally showed it to me, and I completely disagree. I think there are times where he sounds like Harrison Ford. Do I think he'd be able to pull off Han Solo? Absolutely not.
I've watched it probably either. I want to say I've watched that same clip about 25 times, showing it to people showing it to people that are diehard Star Wars fans.
Yep.
Showing it to people that are telling me that they don't like the trailer or they like the trailer, and I'm trying to prove them wrong or commiserate with them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've shown people this trailer 25. I mean that clip 25 times. I don't see a moment where I don't think he can pull off being Han Solo.
We're talking about the short where the kid is doing an
Yeah, I showed it
impression
to
of
you.
Harrison Ford from the first Star Wars
Yeah.
movie.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say this: I think that's a good mimicry of Harrison Ford in the first movie.
Right.
But can he turn that into a full-fledged character?
We don't know.
Like it's like
is what I'm saying. We don't know.
It's one thing to be like, I can do Arnold Schwarzenegger and I'll do a line from his movie and I sound like Arnold Schwarzenegger for that line.
Right.
Can I then take that and turn it into actually being Arnold Schwarzenegger?
And that's a valid point, but we don't know the answer to that question. You know what I mean? And we're never going to know the answer to that question because they got fucking
But you're
Chris
also
Pine
saying,
look-alike.
But you're also saying that, like, from that, you think he would be a good Han Solo. But
I think he would be
saying,
better than the guy that they chose. Is what I'm saying.
Well,
I will stand by that. I don't give a shit. I will stand by that statement, I believe that he would be better than the guy that they chose. I'm not saying he'd be the best choice. I'm saying there were better choices out there than this kid. Einrich or some shit like that. Einrich?
I don't know. It's like
Third
Aldrin
Reich?
something. Yeah, it's some shit like
Yeah.
that.
Nobody cares.
I don't know. I mean, like I said, I mean, I feel like this guy is also getting like, this guy had no fucking shot, man.
No, he really didn't.
Like, he had no fucking shot, and that's why I feel bad for him. Like, somebody who's an actor, I mean, like, he's jumping into a role, and the guy hasn't even had a chance for the movie to be released, and everybody's taking a huge shit on his face. Like, why not? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how do you think that feels? Like, honestly, like, this guy literally, as an actor, went out. He got probably the biggest break of his life, and he's getting the shit beat out of him before the movies even come out. Like, that's got to be awful.
Poor life choices,
Like,
man.
No, it's not a poor
don't
life
think
choice. It's actually a great life choice. He's making it as an actor. Like, his dream is coming true. He's in a Star Wars movie, and he's getting hit in the face with Lucille over and over again. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the fucking movie hasn't even come out
Yo,
yet.
I'll invite him to my next cookout. I mean, I don't give a shit about him. I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about the choices by the directors.
The
to
choices
put-
by the directors, but that's what I'm saying though. Like, yeah, maybe, but I mean, like, everybody's saying like, oh, like, he doesn't look like him, and blah blah blah. He doesn't look like Harrison Ford, and like,
It's not even just the look; it's the mannerisms. Like like the way that he, like his actions, the way that he acts, the way that he carries himself is
Right.
not Han Solo.
Well, we've also had multiple conversations before about actors and how has a lot to do with the director's vision and what they want for their film. So it can't be like the whole fate of this movie can't be rested on the fact that this guy was cast as Han Solo, is doing what he thinks he should be doing as an actor to portray Han Solo, and we're resting the fate of the movie on his shoulders. That's not fair.
I didn't say it was his fault. I don't even know the kid's name. I just said that I fucking I'll
He needs to be prepared for what's coming at him, though.
Oh, and
if
I
you're
think-
going to take on a
Congratulations.
job like this.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Congratulations, kid.
I think you're right, Tony.
I think
though.
what I just said was
Like,
more
he just
Han
didn't-
Solo.
when you
didn't have a
said
shot.
he didn't have a chance.
No.
I mean, this is the problem with taking an iconic character from cinema and then redoing it. It's like it's probably not on the same par, because I think right now in the upper echelon, Han Solo and Harrison Ford is a big part of Americana cinema.
I have a great example.
I look at like Freddy Krueger. They redid Freddy Krueger. Nobody liked the new Freddy Krueger because
Yeah.
it's not Robert Englund. I think that's a big downfall of the new Ghostbusters movie. Is how could you redo the Ghostbusters? That's Bill Murray, and that's. It doesn't matter. It's just the fact that nobody wants to give them a shot because you already have this classic, iconic character.
But I have a great example though of when they nail it. Like if you look at and I hated these movies, but Star Wars episodes 1, 2, and 3, Sir Alec Guinness is dead, right? He's a dead actor, but he was iconic in the role of Obi-Wan Kenobi. And what's his name? The kid that played him?
Christian Haydenson?
No.
What are you
No.
talking
No,
about?
Hayden Christensen. I'm talking about
Hayden.
Obi-Wan
Oh, I
Kenobi.
said his name backwards.
Yeah.
Are you talking about Ewan McGregor?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Ewan
Ewan-
McGregor.
Ewan
The other
McGregor.
You called him a
law.
kid, and
Yeah.
I was like, he's a man.
All right.
Yeah,
To
well,
you, he's a
Yeah.
man. Yeah. Hey, Ewan McGregor comes in and absolutely fucking owns the role of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I believe that he is a young Alec Guinness, right?
He was really good in that role. He was very fatherly and like.
No problem at all with that. So it's not about somebody not having a chance. It's just he doesn't fit the mold. That's all it is. Find somebody that fits the fucking mold. They did it with Sir Alec Guinness. Why can't they do it with this kid?
I don't know. Somebody does, man. A lot of people thought he fit the mold to him to be cast in this shit.
None of the fans
It's a
do.
big fucking project. So multiple people have to sign off on that. So I would like to know what their perspective is and why he was given gave him the green light. I also agree with Ren when you said earlier that like you're not really invested in the movie because you know Han Solo like already dies. Like I never really thought about that. And I think that's a pretty valid point. But I also think there's the other side of it. Like even if you know somebody dies, like don't you want to know what the precursor was like at all?
You do, but like, it's so hard because I'm not a big fan of Jennifer Lawrence at all because I feel like a lot of the fucking characters she plays are the same. So I feel like she's always playing the same character. They just change her hair. She has the same like
her
baby face.
skin
Like
color.
she was terrible as Mystique. I did not like her as Mystique. But a lot of that was like the people who were doing the effects. They just made her look like an idiot. So it was hard for me to even appreciate her in the role. Like she's just this giant bobblehead that was like a mostly bald. She just looked terrible. So it was hard for me to enjoy. It's hard for me to like any film she's in, even though I know some of them she does like groundbreaking work. Like, wow, that character was so great. But so many of the other characters are the same, but she keeps getting cast in these roles. So it's like, oh, I want somebody new who's actually going to come in and do great work. And then we have this kid where I'm like, oh yeah, it's somebody kind of newish, but he's just not Han Solo at all. Like he's just somebody where they were like, we need a main lead and he needs to be like kind of macho, and he's like, that's me right here. Got it. I can do it. You need somebody to grow their hair out fast? Got it. Like that's what I feel like it was. And they're just like, yeah, fuck it. Ansel Elgort, that's too much money. Like his price tag, too much. Like this is just kind of like a jerk off whatever film is how I feel like they went into it.
Money's a problem though. It's Disney.
It's Disney, but like this is just a side movie. They're focusing on that main storyline. Like they spent a lot of money on CGI, it looks like. But I have problems with that main character so much. Like Emilia Clarke, whatever. Like I know she's a good actress. I've seen her and stuff. It doesn't look like she's like too big of a main character. Like whatever. I have no problem with her. Like Donald Glover, as long as he's not too extra goofy and steals the limelight, which I feel like he might.
Yeah.
Because he's a larger than life character, even in real life. Like his own persona of who he is, you're always
Actually,
just drawn to him.
Yeah, you're drawn to him, but actually, like every character that I've seen him play has always been just kind of a mellow, very chill person, which fits for Lando. Like, and that's one of the things that I think they did right. Like, how do you get Lando right and then just fucking screw the pooch on Han, right?
I don't know. And like Lando was like everyone's dream cast. Like if you type in like Lando Dreamcast, it's always like Donald Glover. He's always in there. Nobody talks about this other kid. No one knows.
Right.
It's a bummer.
Like, and I started off feeling this way, but I gave myself a minute to see more, because like we started with like maybe a 15-second teaser that they released during like a Monday Night Football thing or something like that. Maybe it was on the Super Bowl, actually. I think it was. We got a 15 to 20-second teaser, and I was just like, I'm gonna wait and see more. Then the next day they released a longer teaser, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna wait and see more. And then the next one came out, and I was like, this is probably going to suck. And then they came out with the final trailer, and I'm like, yeah, they're not doing anything to fucking change my mind. I don't see anything that I like about this kid.
It's just the main thing.
For Han Solo.
Yeah,
like
like,
I'm sure he'd be great in
if
like
they named
another
it anything
movie.
else,
Yeah.
if they named it anything else, you wouldn't focus so much on this main character, but it's his backstory. So it's problematic for me.
Like if he was like Dash Rendar or some shit, that would be different. You know, it would be a whole different scheme. But anyway.
But would they be making a Dash Rendar movie?
They should.
They fucking might at this point because it's
Such a-
Disney and they're just like, all that Star Wars money.
They should. And this should have been it. Like.
That's so musical.
I think we should call it a wrap on that, though.
Yeah,
we feel how we feel.
That's it.
Yeah.
We're done. Taking a break, and we'll be back. Listen to our sponsor drop ad here.
Yo, Cooley, what's going on, man?
Not much, bro. What's up?
Pretty good, man. So, dude, do you when it comes to investing, do you get all this stuff about stocks? Does it make sense to you?
Yo, I'm the best. I'm not really that great at it. I do it, but you know, it's more of a dabbling thing.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm not a master at this. I would like to know more. I'm always wondering if I'm going to invest my money in the right places. But a good place to get this stuff started is at supplyanddemandinvesting.com.
Yo, so true. Stop following the modern portfolio theory investment crowd and try an alternative means of investing your hard-earned money at supplyanddemandinvesting.com.
And for a limited time, submit any 5 stocks, mutual funds, or exchange-traded funds and receive a free SDI analysis on each.
Simply go to supplyanddemandinvesting.com/redbeard. That's us. Fill out the form along with your selections, and you'll receive your free SDI analysis within 48 to 72 hours.
Go to supplyanddemandinvesting.com/redbeard for your free analysis today.
And thanks to supplyanddemandinvesting.com for their continued support of the Redbeard podcast. And we're back. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that advertisement. We all did. And we're going to talk about something else that we enjoyed very thoroughly, I think. I look at Ren as I say
Yeah,
I
why'd you
think.
look at me?
Well, because I know that we did, and I'm not sure about you because we always have sometimes we have different opinions, you and I, about what's great and what's not so great. But we're talking about Infinity War here.
Yeah, and it's been out for, 2 weeks now?
Yeah, long
So,
enough that we can talk thoroughly about this shit and not hold back.
Yeah, the dust has had enough time to settle. So, yeah, but, so spoilers, if you haven't seen it, too bad.
Yeah, I mean, this movie's made over, almost, I think it's actually cracked 2 billion already, hasn't it?
Something stupid
I
like
think
It was,
that.
so,
last
yeah.
time I checked, it was at 1.8 billion,
Yeah.
which means that everybody has seen this shit already.
Well, Jim went on a Tuesday and during school hours and the theater was full.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I went on a Tuesday at 1 p.m. and people found time to get to see this movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not worried about spoiling it, but if you are one of the 1% that has not seen this movie, I know you wish you were one of the 1% that is rich as fuck, but fuck off.
Okay.
So here we go.
Damn. Yeah.
Infinity War. Thoughts?
I loved it, man. I guess I'll start. I loved it. I got to see exactly what I wanted. I got to see the Avengers get smashed. And there was a lot of death, which I wanted to see.
Is that really what you wanted to see? You wanted to
yeah.
see the Avengers lose?
Yep. That's what I wanted to see. And
Well, we just had a decade of watching all of them win.
Yeah,
I'm
all
just so
the
sick of
time.
it, man. I think they're cool movies, but at the same time, it's you're going up against Thanos, and I didn't really want to see them find a way to take out Thanos. I wanted Thanos to be I'm a god, and F you guys, and try to stop me. And that's exactly what happened. And people got smashed, and people walked out of the theater with no words. And that's a good movie, man, when people aren't talking when you're walking out of the theater. They had nothing to say. It left people speechless, and that's a good movie. The other thing that I really thought was cool about this movie is that it had just the right amounts of humor at the right times. And these were every instance of comedy was character driven. Usually when you go to an action movie, you can take those quips and put them in any other action movie. But these were character specific quips that worked. There's the I am Groot, and then hello, I am Steve Rogers.
Right.
That wouldn't work with any other character.
Right.
And my favorite line in the entire movie was Thor being I agree with the rabbit. That was my favorite line in the movie. So these were all, I thought, very well planned, thought out comedic moments that the movie would get super dark and then make you laugh. Get super dark and make you laugh again. And then it just gets super dark and then it's time to go home. So you kind of on this ride the entire time. And for a movie that was 2 hours and 36 minutes, it felt like an hour and a half. That's how much I enjoyed it.
Right.
I have a lot of other things to say, but they will come to me as we talk about it. But that's just kind of my overall first thoughts, I guess. Yeah.
Ren, what about you?
You're gonna think that I hate this movie because
No, I already think that you hate this movie, so I'm just
No,
gonna
no,
I'm gonna let you prove me wrong.
No. So I went into this movie and I kind of was expecting a mess because you have so many different characters from so many different universes, and you had the addition of bringing Wakanda into it, and I was like, that's a new thing to us. How are they gonna bring this in? So I was super nervous, but I was like, I'm gonna go see it. I sat down. It opened. I was like, strange opening. Like, we're going to kill Loki off immediately. Thor was just, like, super weak and, like, very bromance-y. Like, my best friend, no. My brother, no. Like, I was like, oh, okay. Like, how's this going to go down? And as the movie progressed, I was like, oh, sick. Like, we're keeping the same goofy Thor humor that we had from the very first time he was introduced to us in the Marvel movie universe. Like, sick. That's what I loved about him because he is this god. You're like, oh, he could be like Superman style and just kill everybody all the time and be super fucking boring because you're like, he always wins, but he's just like a goofy dude because he hasn't been exposed to things. So I was like, yeah, love that. Go, like, everything with, Guardians of the Galaxy. I loved everything about that. They brought Groot back, and he didn't serve like a huge purpose towards the movie, but when he was used, he was super funny. Like when he was being snarky, he's like, I'm Groot, and you just have like Rocket go like, whoa,
language. Yeah.
I thought that was super funny. The like bringing in like Doctor Strange, I didn't like his movie storyline at all, his solo movie storyline, but like the effects were awesome. So bringing him back, he had a bigger role in the movie because he is this mystic who has these great powers that could, you know, rival almost Thanos at the beginning of the movie. So I was like, yeah, cool. Like we're actually giving all these characters who were weaker these bigger plot lines within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And then progressing, I thought bringing Peter Dinklage's character into it, like that whole storyline, like
I knew you hated it. Sorry.
Yeah, I thought his casting was super wonky because they just put him in a wig, and it's still clearly like a little person as a giant
little person.
Yeah,
it was so weird
with metal hands, and I was like, didn't like that. I thought it was a lot of time forging this weapon that seemed like super lackluster. Like, oh, it's another like hammer, cool.
Yeah, without a handle.
Yeah, and then Groot gives up his body. Okay, like super weird. And then it goes to Wakanda. I was like, this shit's dope. Don't know where these weird monkey venom looking creatures came from. That was like a weird throw in. But I was like, oh wow, this is fucking crazy. Like, wow, like Bucky shows up. I thought my favorite part was when Rocket Raccoon's like, how much for the gun?
Yeah.
Bucky's like, not for sale. And he's like, how much for the arm? And Bucky just walks away and he's like, I'm going to get that arm. That shit made me die. Like, that was something that stuck with me. Super funny. I thought Peter Quill was the biggest fuckboy of all time. They're trying to stop Thanos, and he's like, no, my girlfriend's dead. I'm going to just, like, kill everybody off right now because guess what? The whole universe is fucked because of me. I'm an idiot. Like, I hated that part. And then it built up. It's getting towards the end. And you have, like, this big thing. And then everybody's just disappearing. And I was like, I saw this coming a mile away. I thought that was a dumb foot to end on because you can just imagine that all these characters are going to die. But I have the strong vibe that, like, half of them, if not more than half, are going to come back and they're like, oh, the deaths are real. And I'm like, yeah, we've killed Captain America off a bunch of times in the comic. He still
but like,
comes
dude,
back.
there's the Soul Stone, there's the Time Stone. Hello?
Yeah, they're all
Like,
going to come back. They're going to get the stones and then bring them back. So the ending was just super lackluster for me. You could have just, like, stopped it by him coming to Earth and being like, whoa, and then killed everybody off at the beginning of the next movie because you're like, oh, that's expected, but whoa, that's a crazy way to start a film by killing everyone off and then reviving them.
It was not to, but it was like super weird when people got like depressed that people were dying. I'm like, but you just saw him bring Vision back to life to kill him again.
Yeah,
like you could do this with the other characters. Like, you
that's
know
what
I
I'm
mean?
saying. And like, my biggest flaw of the whole movie is you have this big build up to killing off all these characters, and they did it super, super fast, but you had this chance to make it emotional with Spider-Man, and I started to get like, whoa.
Yeah, Spider-Man was the only part that got me.
Please, Mr. Stark, if you closed up on his face and he started crying and you gave Tony a slight bit of emotion towards this kid who was kind of like his like son figure, you could have got like everyone like, and they just kind of were like, no, please, up, and he's gone. They just brushed over a major moment where they could have built it up and like had people fucking bawling. They could have had people bawling, and they missed that opportunity. And then the whole end was like, people faded away. So I think the ending was so lackluster for this huge, amazing buildup where I was like,
Yeah, but-
love it, love it, love it, love it, love it.
People are already complaining. Well, people are already complaining now that Spider-Man took too long to fade away. Like, he got more of a moment than everybody else. So, like,
Well,
if they drag that out
skipped him,
anymore,
like doing the whole like drunk walking around. But if you just showed him collapse instantly into Tony Stark's arms and be like, no.
See, I feel like the only reason why because I thought about that, but I think the only reason why he actually had more time is because like his Spidey sense kicked in and let him knew something was going to happen, because he goes, I don't feel so good. Where other people were like, what's going on? Oh shit, there goes my arm. It's like he like got like a 3-second head start and like started to feel sick, and then he started to actually fade away. So that's kind of how I reason that, but I don't know. That's just my reasoning.
I think that's
like that
solid logic.
Yeah, that wasn't like, I wasn't complaining about him having that time. I just know that people are already out there talking about that. Like, that's a thing.
I wasn't
Right.
concerned about that.
Yeah, me
I would
neither.
have rather have like cried and had like an emotional thing when I've invested 3 hours of my life in this fucking film. Give me something at the end.
As someone who invested 10 years of his life into this shit, I will tell you, well,
And
more than
38 hours 2
Yeah.
years before.
well 34 years, I should say, with the comics and the TV shows and the cartoons and building into this cinematic universe. I shed a tear when Spider-Man was just like, I don't want to go.
I choked up, but it didn't get me. It was too much like, oh, falls. And Tony Stark is just kind of like, you're okay, kid. Like, not even gonna like choke. Like, little
I will
crack
tell
in
you
the
though,
voice.
I think one of the most depressing parts of the movie for me though was I thought Robert Downey Jr. did an awesome job just sitting there looking like he got the life ripped out of him. And it's in the trailer too.
Yeah.
But like when they actually like you get more of a moment with him, he's sitting there like knowing that he was powerless. Like, because he's been like the solid like guy in this movie. Like, he holds the Avengers together. That's where it all started. You know, like, he always comes in with the Iron Man suit. There's always like a bigger Iron Man suit that like some shit that like he pre-programmed that saves the day, and he just got like fucked on every angle.
He's
he
been
got
great.
nothing left. And I thought that was great. So
He's a great actor. He's always been
is.
solid in all of the films. This film, I felt like, what's his name? Chris Evans was like kind of checked out. Like,
yeah, I felt
He
that too.
wasn't in a lot of it.
yeah, he wasn't in a lot of it. And every time you did see him, it was like, oh. And then Scarlett Johansson, I can't tell if she's checked out or if that's just how she is, because she's always just kind of doofy. So it was like the two of them, I didn't feel anything from them. I didn't get like any big, like, whoa.
Do you think that comes from the fact that like Captain America has kind of checked out of the Avengers and is
Yeah, I
only
think-
back because he needs to be for this?
I think so, and I think, you know, like, Scarlett Johansson's character is gonna be killed off too, because she's very lackluster in all the films. She's just been like, oh, the female assassin character, we need her in there, but there's never been any moment where you're like, fuck yeah, she's awesome. You're just like, oh, whatever. So I think those two are definitely dead.
When she first came on screen, I think that was when I was like, oh, she's badass in this. When she had like the red hair.
Yeah.
Like, that's when I was like, Scarlett Johansson's awesome in this role. But then like, yeah, it kind of like has middled out, whatever.
Yeah.
And there are better female characters now in the movie.
Yeah,
movie.
like Scarlet Witch, they like
Yeah.
really built her up.
They did a better job of fleshing her out in this movie. I don't give a shit about Vision.
No.
Yeah,
He
me
kind
either.
of became a big part in this, and I still look at him and I'm like, he's a robot.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, that's ultimately what he is to me. I loved the movie. I mean, I didn't come on any figurines of the Avengers,
Yeah.
but
that would be weird.
I thoroughly enjoyed this movie.
It's sad because some people have done that.
Oh, yeah. Oh my God! There's just like
God.
gooey balls of Avengers
Oh God, man.
that are now like just like giant tumbleweeds of fucking plastic arms and legs. Doesn't matter. I went too far. I hated Peter Dinklage's character. This is going to sound mean to an entire like section of people, but Peter Dinklage turned into a giant. He looked like a giant baby. It really showcased the small legs of Peter Dinklage. And that seems mean. That seems very mean. But it's also incredibly accurate. It was not flattering.
I did think he was funny though. What was the line with Thor? That what happens when you die? Like that
He
was.
said it'll kill you, and he was like, only if I die. And he's like, yes, that's
I didn't think
what it means to kill you.
Regardless, that's on me
Right.
for being mean towards someone's physical appearance.
It was
But
just funny because they just made him
overall-
bigger.
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, overall, it just seemed like Peter Dinklage, but he's trying to like have a gruff voice. I'm the Batman, Peter Dinklage. Like that's kind of what he sounded like, and I was like, that lame. And the one thing though that really got me, and you brought it up, that kind of pissed me off, is how stupid Star-Lord was
Yeah, me too.
when they were just about to win.
Yeah.
They're gonna win. Like, I get it. Your girlfriend is dead. She is super dead. Green blood spilling out all over the ground like she just fell like into the pit in Mortal Kombat. And he's going to jeopardize the whole galaxy
Yeah,
just so he can like punch him in the face?
yeah. I thought the same thing when I was watching that. I was like, wow, dude, like they literally had the gauntlet off. And he decided that was the time to punch him in the face. Like, come on, bro.
I
Like,
feel like most people in the world can understand the difference between a punch in the face and we could probably kill this guy.
yeah, you know, like I don't know.
Like, if you're in the throes of just such anger, you want the worst thing to happen to that person. But Star-Lord didn't do that.
I think it's just that Disney wants more money. So, that's basically.
It was
you
just messy. Like I understood why they needed Thanos to continue having the Infinity Gauntlet and blah blah blah. But like it was so dumb. It was so dumb and it turned me off of like Star-Lord's character
Yeah.
entirely. Where now I just don't give a fuck about him because I'm just like, you're a fucking idiot.
That was such a stupid move.
Yeah, they've
Yeah.
never even been like an official like relationship where you see like, oh, they're super in love. It's just always been like kindergarten flirting style.
That's what I
Like,
thought.
Yeah.
For all intents and purposes, though, this takes place like I think either a year or 2 years after.
Yeah, but even
the last time we see them together. So who knows how that relationship developed? It
But they
obviously
should've
went
highlighted
somewhere.
that.
yeah, they should have highlighted a little something because like I was just like not feeling that. Like if Pepper Potts died, we've seen Tony
Yeah.
Stark's relationship like build up with her and been like tumultuous, but they've always been in love with each other from the jump. Like if they killed Pepper Potts, I would have been like, oh shit, Tony
Yeah.
Stark wilding out at this point. But like Gamora, it's never been like, whoa. And I understand it's because like she's a badass babe, like her family died and like she can't get into relationship like too heavily or whatever. And like Peter Quill, he killed his dad and like his mom died by his dad's hand. So whatever, he has like love issues too maybe. But like I've never gotten like huge love feel from them to be so dramatic as to fuck up an entire universe over it.
I kind of always saw them as I always saw them as like very close to getting together. Like they both obviously had feelings for each other, but couldn't come together. And I just like it was a natural evolution for me, I guess.
But like he was even going to kill her, so he was like, oh, I have to kill her, and then the bubbles came out, so he already had to deal with the loss of her building up, and then she finally dies, and then he's like, whoa, I'm so shocked, whoa. It's like she was always going to die. Like she knew she was going to die. He knew he had to kill her at one point, and then when she finally died, he was so dramatic about it. Like, he was such a fuckboy.
Everybody knew too. Like as soon as he shows up and finds out she's gone, I'm like, okay, so this is where like Thanos is not going to lose at this moment. Like I felt like it was a little obvious. I mean, it's so. I mean, I guess I don't know. There's certain things about the movie that I thought I had one issue with the ending. Although after like immediately when I saw that and I saw the ending, it was just like Thanos like seeing the sunset after he like destroyed half of the universe. I was like, oh, it's gonna end right here. But then I had time to digest it, and it makes sense because this is the first half, you know, and like we gotta wait for Avengers 4. And it kind of blew my mind, like when you're just going on. I was on like Snapchat, and they have like people leaving the theater like bawling, like recording themselves like bawling, and I'm just kind of like somebody was like, I can't believe they killed Black Panther. It's like, I can't believe they killed Spider-Man. Like we just fell in love with these characters, and it's like
it's people who aren't educated. It's the same people who like leave before the end credit scene comes up.
Though, it's like, man, like Spider-Man's on the set right now. I'm like, you know what I'm saying?
I
Like,
am
Black
not.
Panther ain't going anywhere.
I'm not 100%
Yeah.
sure that these characters are coming back though.
You talked to me about that because you were like, well, it could be like they could do movies before this thing happened. And
Well, we all believe in like parallel universes at this point. You know what I mean? So
No, but I mean, like, I am like 100% on the fence, like right on the fence. Like, I'm not leaning in either direction, but
how would they do another Spider-Man movie then?
No,
The-
or Guardians of the Galaxy.
so here's the Spider-Man situation. They made a deal with Sony to use Spider-Man in the Avengers, right? They also made a deal with Sony to actually take the artistic direction seat for the Homecoming movies. They're only doing 2 movies, period. It's not a trilogy. It's not an ongoing series or a franchise. They're doing 2 movies, and they have the rights to use him in 2 Avengers movies. So my point is,
You saying Spider-Man? The second Spider-Man movies happened before? Infinity War?
and if he's gonna die, this is where he dies, man. Like, this is a great place to go out, and then they don't have to worry about where does he fit into the Marvel universe anymore because they don't have the rights to him anymore, right? So there's just one aspect of this. The other thing is, in the comic books, Shuri is the Black Panther for a good amount of time, and Shuri is the Black Panther's sister. For those that don't know, but I mean, if T'Challa's dead, they can still make Black Panther movies. Like, they can still make Black Panther movies using Shuri. They could certainly use M'Baku, but I don't think that would work because it's never been a thing.
Right.
But like, there's no reason why they couldn't continue using Wakanda, those great characters, and use a character that they introduced in the first Black Panther movie that actually stole the show in a lot of cases. As the main character.
Right.
As far as the other characters that died, they were not franchise runner. They didn't have their own franchises. It's not like as far as Guardians of the Galaxies goes. Like, I mean, like, those guys were like almost all of them died. But going back to when Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 came out, James Gunn made a statement because he's actually running the direction of the Marvel Universe in Phase 4. That the next Guardians of the Galaxy movie, Volume 3, is going to feature a very different team. And when he said that, I didn't know what he was fucking talking about. But after seeing this, I'm putting 2 and 2 together. Now, this happened, like, what, a year ago when Volume 2 came out. And now, I'm finally making the connection, and I'm like, holy shit. Like, is he serious about it being a completely different team? I mean, Rocket's there, Nebula's there. That's all you got left. Right?
Right.
Is it suicide to do that? I don't think so. I think they could totally run these franchises with different characters, and give us new characters, new experiences, and stuff like that. Can they bring these characters back and make it work? Absolutely. So, like, I mean, there's 2 different ways that they can go with this,
That would
and I'm not.
disappoint so many fans. Man.
Yeah, I think
People would be so.
It would
pissed.
be
they
upsetting.
can do that.
Yeah,
I
you know what
honestly
mean?
never.
Like, people would they lose so much faith in everything.
I honestly never looked at it that way. From your perspective, a lot of that seems like it can make sense. It's viable. But from a money aspect, if you're the companies that are putting these movies out, it seems like so many people are invested in these characters. I can understand maybe if you were to kill Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. You know, if something were to happen with Captain America, because they've kind of already had their run. They've had 10 years.
That's why I think the ones
to
remaining
develop.
are the ones who are going to die.
But this transcends the characters, though.
This
Okay.
totally transcends the characters because this is a
That's
universe.
interesting.
This is a
Yeah, that makes
world,
sense.
right?
Yes, yeah.
And so as a writer, right, as somebody who writes and wants to create for other people, if you think about it, the things that you kill are the things that you love the most, because when you do that, it has a lot more impact. And in this case, nobody expected this, and it took the air out of the fucking cinema. And like, you all experienced this. You all went to the movies week one before any spoilers came out. Everybody who watched this movie at the end, you said it yourself, Tone. Nobody said shit. It was just, there were no claps. There were no woohoos, no nothing, but it wasn't negative. It was literally just, I can't say anything because this was just, it took the air out of my lungs.
But I guess, like I said, I'm just looking at it from a business perspective. You've got these giant franchises, and now you're just going to throw that all out and reboot something that works.
Yeah, like realistically,
and not expect some sort of giant. I mean, this isn't. We're not talking about a small. We're not talking about the Hulk. You know how the Hulk keeps getting rebooted because the movies aren't that great. Like, we're talking about franchises that are big franchises with huge followings behind them now.
Well, you got like Black Panther and Spider-Man. Like, I think those two movies would be very dumb for them to actually like stop those. It's stupid.
Spider-Man's done. After Homecoming 2, there's no more Spider-Man unless it's Sony doing it.
That's fine, but
okay,
I'm
that's
talking
fine.
about Black Panther.
Let's talk
Black
about
Panther
that.
just got off the ground, and it was like huge. So I think they would be wicked dumb to do that. And I kind of agree with what Ren just said. Like, she made a very good point about. She goes, I think that the people who survived are going to be the ones who die. So, like in Avengers 4, they're going to reface off against Thanos. Captain America is definitely going to get killed. I could see Iron Man going out.
Black
and then
Widow, I feel like, is gone too.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, like, the switch gets flipped where, like, some shit with the Soul Stone or the Time Stone, and the people that died come back.
I feel like they have to sacrifice, like, the power's too much, because they always talk about, like, the power's too much for these people. The power's too much. I feel like they're all kind of combined and have to bring all these people back. In doing so, they sacrifice themselves. And it's going to be like how Superman versus Batman, like, that movie was fucking terrible, but the effect of, like, Superman dying being, like, this looming sad thing, and they talk about it all the time, and, like, a couple movies to come from that, I feel like it'll be one of those, like, a big impact, and they talk about it, and they'll talk about these characters, but they're getting older, they've had their run. I feel like this is going to be their big go out, like, their big boom. This is their 10-year anniversary, and they're done. And we're going to bring new people back. Like, Spider-Man, I totally see, like, the Sony thing. But Tom Holland's so good. I feel like they might work something into the contract to bring him into the Marvel Universe. Like, we're waiting for X-Men to finally be released from Sony, so that way Marvel can do something interesting. Yeah.
I
that's
just
right,
feel like
Fox,
Tom
not
Holland is
Sony,
such a
Fox.
cash cow right now. Like, why
Yeah,
would they not?
I mean, like, I
Like,
understand
it's
if you're right, you are right. But from someone that is uneducated, I feel like Tom Holland is such a perfect Spider-Man right now. Like, they finally got it right, you know? And now they're going to say 2 movies. He
Consider
gets
this.
2.
Consider this.
You know how Hollywood acts. I'm sorry, I'm going to give you 1 second. But you know how Hollywood acts. You come out with a movie, it explodes, makes a ton of money. You make another movie, it explodes, makes a ton of money. No one's going to sit there and go, that's
But
it.
I think
we're done.
I think the
Turn
Marvel
off
universe,
the faucet.
like the people that like, like, we're like the little people, right? They have somebody working in like marketing who's like, 2 movies, have fun with that, figure that out. You know what I mean? Like, somebody throws that bullshit out to make you go, 2 movies, well, let me put all these pieces together. But it's like, who knows if that's going to be something that's actually contracted or can change.
Yeah, or
Hold on,
he
let-
changes, like, his character. Instead of being Spider-Man, he's now a different Spider-Man character in the universe, or
but he'd
something.
still
goes-
be Peter Parker.
He'd still be Peter Parker, but they're saying 2 Spider-Man
They
movies.
throw this shit out there so
All the
we
time.
have this conversation.
Yeah.
Here's
Like, you know?
consider this, right? Number 1, the money aspect. If we're talking money, right? The reason why Marvel succeeds and DC fails is because DC's chasing money. Warner Brothers is chasing money. What's working? What's not working? Let's follow this model. Let's do this. This is what's going to sell, right? What Marvel is not doing is chasing money. What Marvel's doing is they're spending money creating amazing movies based on amazing stories and writing amazing stories and bringing their characters further and further until we get to a point where you can kill them off. And what they've done is they've created this world, this universe. And if I'm right, let's just say that I'm right. I still think I may be only temporarily right in the sense that we might get these characters back in phase 4. They might not give them back to us right away. And that's because they've already created the impact that they wanted to create. And it would undo everything by just fucking saying, okay, well, it's cool because like we can just bring everybody back right now. Boom, done. Right? Like now no death and nothing, there's no consequence, there's no weight to anything. And when if you bring those guys back and kill the old guys, it's like, okay, well you can always bring the old guys back. So I just have this feeling that they care enough about their audience to give them an amazing story and kind of stick to their guns, even if it's just on some of this stuff. Like I think who knows, maybe we get a couple of characters back, but I really don't think we're going to get them back immediately. I think we're going to have to wait a while before that happens.
I think that's possible. I think just to piggyback on some of what you said, I think that you can have money and good storyline going hand in hand. I think a good storyline and a passion for putting out a good movie leads to money. I think DC was always flawed right from the get-go. It wasn't as well written as the Marvel movies were. I think nobody comes out with a movie just for its artistic value and doesn't expect any money to be made out of it, because that's not how you run a business.
Right, but it's not the sole decision is what I'm saying.
I'm sure it's not the sole decision, but
like I think if they had a choice between just putting out a movie just to get a quick buck and putting out a movie that is a great movie that will still get that same money or more, I think they're going to do the great movie and forego just throwing something out there for the sake of it.
But I guess I still believe that there's so much history in the Marvel comics. I mean, we're talking about characters that have lived on for decades, and there's so many different stories to tell that you have a wealth of information to continue to make great movies. I'm not saying you have to make 5 Spider-Man movies, but you can make a few.
Right. I agree.
I think the possibility is there.
Right.
I'm not saying you're wrong.
Think about this, and it just hit me just now. So the Spider-Man situation, right? Contracted for 2 movies. I think everything is so fucking transparent now because of the internet that I don't think this is like a smokescreen. I think this
is it transparent, or I mean, like I think nowadays with computers and the internet, that there's a whole lot more lying going on to the public.
Yeah, but I mean, like when contracts and stuff like that are made, like the information is out there, right? Like, and so I think when you see stuff like that, and like when the president of Marvel Studios is saying, hey, we got this great deal, and Sony's like, yeah, we made this great deal, I don't think that they're gonna try and throw us off of anything by saying, hey, it's only 2 movies, and then make it like, oh, surprise, we got 5 movies. Like I think what we might see though is that, hey, all of these characters faded away into dust, right? We might, like I said, we might wait until phase 5 before they come back. Maybe the end of phase 4 brings these characters back. But in the meantime, while we're waiting this next 10-year period, right? Sony and Marvel works this out, and they get more movies, and now they can bring these characters back, and then they can bring back Tom Holland or whatever, and here we go. But now Tom Holland's going to be like all old and shit.
I think to an extent you're correct in that. I'm sure when they created this and said, hey, 2 movies, they were like, let's see how these movies will do. You know, Spider-Man has been played out, but now Tom Holland's in it, and the fans have grasped onto it, and I think now eventually they'll be like, you know what, there's something to this. You guys are falling asleep.
No, I'm just letting you talk. I'm just letting you finish your thought.
I'm finished. I'm done.
I was listening. I just don't have anything.
I don't want to become the professor that no one wants to listen to. Jesus Christ. You both have your heads.
I don't have anything else to say.
Yeah.
That's all. I just ran out of stuff to
I
say.
was just like, oh, we're still talking about is this gonna happen or not? All right.
I just didn't have anything else to add, so that's all.
Yeah.
All right, well, if we're all falling asleep, then fuck it. We're done. Because I'm sure our audience is probably fucking done by this point, too. So, see you next week.
See you next week.
Goodbye.
Later.
Peace.
Peace.